by making use of a number of different sensors from sonar, GPS, inertial navigation capabilities, infrared distance sensors. Fusing all of those together in such a way allows the Zano to know where it is, know its reference points to any objects around it, to know its altitude. You can also use that information to avoid drifting into objects. You don't have to fly it because it knows where it is. Now outdoors it'll use GPS, which is nothing new about that. However, the way it does it is quite different. By using inertial navigation and fusing that information with the GPS data, we get a much more accurate fix and much better means of countering drift of the unit outside. When you're flying indoors, more often than not GPS won't work, especially further inside a building. We get around lack of GPS inside by using the infrared sensors to measure not distance per se, but change in distance to objects. Now infrared, unless you're actually measuring the time of flight or the time it takes an infrared signal to leave the device and come back, you cannot accurately determine distance. However, by looking at the change in reflected signals, we can look at the rate of change or the movement of the device. Now ultimately, the Zano is trying to keep itself still, so if those reflected signals change, we can determine whether or not the unit's moving closer or further away from objects and make very small course corrections as a result. So that allows us to have very accurate indoor and outdoor flying. Zano flies itself. That's an awfully big claim. It's not that difficult from our point of view because of the technology we have. We've actually made it fly itself. It keeps itself level. That's first and foremost. It avoids objects. That's pretty important. It maintains its distance to objects around it, so it'll hold its position. That's very important. It maintains altitude automatically. That's pretty critical. How does it do that? Outside of sonar range, which is 4 meters, it'll resort to a high-resolution barometric pressure sensor. That looks for change in air pressure. That's fine outside. Operating inside, barometric pressure can change very quickly. Somebody might open a door. That'll result in small changes in internal air pressure. Now, simply relying on barometric pressure, the unit would affect its altitude. It would either go up or it would come down towards the ground. We're getting around that by using echo sounding sonar, which has a resolution of about 3 millimeters based on the wavelength that we're running at. The system Zano will automatically fuse and swap over to the most accurate sensor for whatever the situation is. So that's how we've achieved autonomy.